Welcome to this week's Constitution segment recap. This is just a simple recap, so to hear the entire discussion, watch the full episode that aired on Tuesday. All legal citations, graphics, and links are available in the slideshow, a link for which is in the description of this segment. So, this week we had a great discussion about the remaining Michigan and Florida proposals. And today we need to go ahead and round that discussion out and do these final yes or no conversations as we close in on a very important midterm election. So, of course, the topic this week has been Florida proposals 1, 2, and 3, and Michigan proposals 1 and 2. Good, bad, constitutional. And we can't cover all the aspects that there would be to cover in each of these 5 proposals because, especially the Michigan ones, there is quite a bit jam-packed into each one of those. But the aspects that I wanted to cover with you are the constitutionality of special property tax exemptions for certain public service workers, property tax exemptions for flood mitigation, abolishment of the Constitution Revision Commission in Florida, term limits and financial reporting requirements, ID-less voting, state-funded voting conveniences, and private election funding, like Zuckerbucks that we saw big in the 2020 elections. True or false? We always start the week off, right, with a Tuesday morning true or false question, which this week was, as long as I fully read the official summary of each proposal on the ballot, I am informed enough to vote on them. Of course, make sure that you do check out that opportunity to participate on our website, restorefreedomkh.com, or go right to Twitter, Telegram, LinkedIn, True Social, or YouTube on our community page to participate that way. Now, you might think it's strange that we are talking about, back that up a little bit, the constitutionality of these proposed constitutional amendments, because after all, if they're approved by the voters by the necessary margins, then aren't they part of the Constitution? And if so, then aren't they by definition constitutional? Well, they would be part of the state constitution, but the question remains is if they are in conflict with other parts of the state constitution or with the U.S. Constitution. And as we start that thought, we need to remember that the U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Of course, you can look to U.S. Constitution Article 6 for that. This means that no federal law, no state constitutional provision, no court order, or any kind of other government action that is repugnant to the Constitution can stand. In other words, any law, state constitutional provision, court order, or any government action that is repugnant to the Constitution is void on its face. It's as though it never even existed. This is because all judges and government officials are required to support and defend the U.S. Constitution, and of course, if they're serving in a state capacity, their state constitution as well. Now, the Florida Proposal 1, it's a yes vote for me, and the reason being is because this is talking about allowing for basically not so much a credit or offset, but so that when the property assessors are going out to assess your home in order to determine how much in property taxes you should pay and real estate taxes, that they are not, the current Constitution says they're not allowed to consider any improvements you're making specifically for wind mitigation, because we do have a lot of hurricanes here in Florida. But this proposal, Proposal 1, is adding flood mitigation to that exception as well, so that if you are out there making improvements that are specific to flood mitigation, then any of those improvements, the dollar value of that, cannot actually increase your stated value in terms of what they're basing your property taxes on. And that does not help hinder one class of people over another in any way, shape, or form. So that, like I said, has a yes vote from me. Proposal 2 is the total abolition, getting rid of, abolishing the Constitution Revision Commission. We went into the specifics why, but essentially you have this whole group of people that are not elected by the people, the voters. They're elected by other people who are elected by the voters. Some people on that commission would be elected by the governor, some by the legislature, some by the Supreme Court, etc. And that's not what a constitutional republic is all about. In fact, we are guaranteed that Republican form of government by our Constitution in Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution. So having a board like the Constitution Revision Commission in the first place is not even constitutional. So yes, absolutely, you have to vote yes on this one, because a no vote is a vote against Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution, and as a Florida voter, you took an oath to support and defend the U.S. and Florida state constitutions. So what about Proposal 3 to amend the Florida State Constitution? This is similar to Proposal 1, except this is to encourage people to serve in those important roles as classroom teachers, law enforcement officers, corrections officers, firefighters, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, child welfare services professionals, active duty members of the United States Armed Forces, and the Florida National Guard. Now, here's the thing. Although it is great that we want to find ways to encourage and support people who are in those roles, the problem here is that we're saying, well, something that applies to everyone, homestead tax exemptions, that rate is going to be special or carved out or done something unique just for this special certain small class of individuals. The reason why we have a problem with that is, well, government's main purpose is to protect our God-given liberties, and in so doing, they have to make sure they're providing that equal protection of the law, including of the state constitution, which, ironically enough, it is in the Florida Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, that we are equal in the eyes of the law. So you can't then have a specialized class of people that are treated differently for purposes of tax, special tax status, basically. So that is a big fat no. We unfortunately have to vote no, even though we do want to encourage people to be of quality in serving in those roles that are essential to our community and to our state. Now, moving on to the Michigan Proposal 1. Two main things. There's financial disclosure for people that are serving in those public roles. And 2, there is a term limit provided there for 12 years. Now, here's the thing. Financial disclosures in general are great, but in the full episode, we talk about how this ballot proposal falls short and doesn't actually do what it needs to do in order for that to be passed through. But also, as far as term limits go, term limits are already set at 14 years for those roles, and we're only lowering it to 12. What's the point? If it's going to be a term limit, make it a term limit. This is a no for me, although not as hard of a no as Proposal 2, which does a lot of really bad things. It seems to do good, but it has a lot of bad things. It puts into the state constitution, not just state law, that you don't need a photo ID to vote, which is bad, but also it creates state-funded requirements for voter conveniences like absentee voting. It's no longer the voter that has to, get off their tuchus and make something happen there. No, the state has to do it, and it will cost millions, at least $13.5 million alone, just in the little bit where we discussed and disclosed in the video today. Also, it allows for Zuckerbucks or private funding for elections. Bad deal all the way around, so vote no on that. I left a lot of other information in the slideshow about different aspects that apply to other parts of these proposals. They are bad news. Please make sure to vote no on Michigan Proposal 1 and 2. And with that being said, if you want to round out our true or false Tuesday answer, it of course was false, because the official summary of the ballot proposals is still just that, an official summary. So please make sure to read that entire wording of those proposals before you vote on them. Of course, make sure to check out our Wednesday Way to Get Involved challenge, our full episode from Tuesday, and the Friday's Freedom Fighting Tool.